Hey YouTube, this is Eddie. It feels weird to no longer say Eddie's Tech Talk, but this is just Eddie. This is now going to be a channel for me to talk about just stuff I like, and today is one example that I'm going to go through my growing, it seems like ever-growing watch collection. And I love kind of this older type of technology. I'm still into tech. I still love tech and what it can do for you and what it can do for me. But and I do love refurbished tech still, and I think there's great deals, things I've talked about previously on this channel. But I like some of the old technology. I mean, watchmaking is something that's been around hundreds of years. If you go back to pocket watches, I mean, right, you're going back forever. So I really just want to talk about things that are interesting to me. I hope they're interesting to you as well. And I'll be talking about my watch collection here and why I pick the different pieces I have. And I really like watching other people's videos of this same thing, because I think watches sometimes, and I'm included in this, people use them to mark major life milestones. People use them to, obviously as a fashion statement sometimes, but I love the story behind them. Hey, what drew you to this piece? Because I do think watchmaking, even in its cheaper watch forms, is still kind of an art form. So without further ado, let's get going out. This is not going to be a full in-depth review on any of these watches. If you'd like to see that sort of thing, please leave me a comment down below. This is just going to be a drive-by of really all the watches in my small but growing collection as we look at it here. Basically just segmented by brand. So I'm going to start first with the first watch I ever got that wasn't your sort of digital Timex type variety. When I was a really young kid, I remember having this red, really small Timex digital watch. I'd use it to time myself when I would go for a run around the block. So I don't have that anymore. And I actually don't have the first watch I bought with my own money anymore, which was actually a movement watch, MVMT, which I don't really like that brand. They got me with the marketing, geez, 8 years ago-ish, maybe now. But anyway, so I don't have those two watches anymore. Those are the two watches I can remember actually existing in my sphere. But mostly I'm kind of new to watches. But I'm not new to this watch. This is the first watch that I ever received, and this was something that my parents got for me a long time ago. I was trying to do some research on this watch for this video. Someone said they got a very similar watch to this from their parents in 2006, and that would probably line up with about the time that I got this watch. That would have made me, I think 9 years old. And so we were probably going to a wedding or a function, and they wanted to get me, something where I could look nice. And that's what we have here with this Seiko. I actually hadn't worked in years. Shout out my buddy Ryan if you're watching this video. Just needed a battery replacement. And I thought, quite frankly, that I didn't like watches after having a watch like this. But turns out, I don't know if it's just a weird texture thing. I just don't love bracelets. And I do like this watch. I love that my parents got it for me. I can never get rid of it. It's got a special place in my heart for those reasons. It still technically fits. I think I need another lug in the band here. It still technically fits. It looks really good on the wrist. I think it's about 39 mil, maybe 40 mil. And I do love the watch. I don't love the bracelets so much. So you'll see that as a theme throughout the collection. But if I catch it in the light here, you can see that it's this really brilliant blue. It's pretty subtle, but it's really nice, and it goes with a lot of different clothes. It does have a day function as well as the date, which is cool. It does say titanium, which is great, and it's water resistant, I think 50 meters, but I don't know how much faith I put in it. But this watch always will have a special place in my heart because it's the first ever watch that my parents got for me. And I did wear it, for a little while. I mean, you can see the clasp here is pretty beat up because back in the day, this was the only nice watch I had, and I wore it quite a bit. So I really do like that. I'll keep that forever just because, my parents thought of me and they got it. And when I look at it, I think of them. The next watch is a Seiko. I didn't buy any of the Seikos I have. They were all gifts. This watch is a bit of a pesky watch. Another Seiko here. Definitely a pesky watch. And then you'll notice that because the watch is not working. It just needs a battery replacement. This is my newest Seiko. But if we turn over to the back here, you can see the little grip function to take the back off, my buddy who does some minor watch repair just could not get it off no matter what he tried. So I'm gonna have to take this in somewhere to get the battery changed for what, 20 bucks or something. But it's a really nice, elegant watch, and this also holds a really special place in my heart because my cousin and his wife, so I just refer to her as my cousin as well, got me this watch because they asked me to do the great honor of officiating their wedding. And that was such an honor. It was so incredible. I really, really, really appreciated that. Hopefully I did them well, did them right. And they got me this watch, which this one's sapphire, so that's nice, right? We've got a sapphire crystal, and it's 100-meter water resistant, so a little bit of a spec bump over those other Seikos. And it's pretty versatile, this watch. If we catch it in the light, it doesn't have that same gradient that the other one did, but it's just a really nice face. I mean, it goes with pretty much anything. There's very few things or functions you couldn't wear this to because of the strap. I mean, it's not something you want to go run in or go to the pool, I would say. But you could just swap the strap and get going on with something else if you really wanted to do that. I don't. This is more of a dressy watch or a weekender watch kind of thing. And I really like it. Just hard to get the back off of this one. So really appreciate that. And similarly, when I look at this, I think of, what a great honor that was. And this is a really nice keepsake from that time. Moving on here, we're still in Seiko. This is the final Seiko that I have. It's actually very similar to the first Seiko that I showed. This is a gold watch, clearly. This one does not have the day function. It only has the date function. And this is something, and I don't have full recollection. It was a similar time to the first Seiko, maybe a couple years later. But this Seiko, my grandfather got for me, and he's no longer with us. And my grandfather, he was a very great man. He was a person that I felt I could always go to, and he had great stories, and he was really smart. Total aside, but he told me about, for those in the know, Microsoft Azure and cloud computing and how it was going to change computing back in like 2006 or 2007. I mean, before cloud computing was even a thing. And now think about it. We've all got cloud email. We have Google Drive. We have OneDrive. I went into a career in cybersecurity. A lot of what I do is protecting cloud storage, or trying to help people protect cloud storage. So he was a great man, but he didn't really get gifts a lot for people. He was a great man and generous with his time. He was generous with his stories. He was always there for you, and he was just a great guy. But he just didn't really get you stuff, which I had no problem with. I don't think anyone did. But that makes something like this all the more special to me because, as far as I can remember, he didn't really get this for me for any reason. And maybe there was. Maybe it was, hey, I graduated the 8th grade or something. I'm not sure. But I don't remember this being for any particular occasion. I believe, as far as I can recollect, that he just kind of got it for me because he thought, I would like it and I'd look nice in it. And I, honestly, my wedding, I got married in November, and it was fabulous. It was awesome in nearly every way. But again, my grandpa, he was not with us because he passed away. And I really wanted to wear this watch on my wedding day, but you can see this one as well it's not functioning, and this one does not fit on my wrist. I can barely get it kind of over. It doesn't even fit. So I need a couple things here to adjust the band. I have them, but I need to get that adjusted. So that needed to happen, and then my buddy who tries to replace the back, this one, you can see there's no grips to take the back off, to replace the battery. So there's a pop off, but the pop off is under this lug, we think. So anyway, this watch, awesome. I really regret not being able to wear it on my wedding day, not getting my act together. But I think of my grandpa when I see it. It's a gold, so it doesn't go with quite as much perhaps as some of my other watches, but this one clearly holds a special place in my heart because my grandpa got it for me. So that's it for the Seiko. Like I said, I actually didn't buy any Seiko in my collection. They were all given to me by others. So very, very interesting there. All right, moving on here. This is my only watch from this brand and the only micro brand, as far as I can tell. I know that's a sort of a dubious definition. Everyone's got their own definition. But in my mind, the only micro brand that's going to appear on this list. And this is the Vaer. I actually recently just got this one. The Vaer C5 Korean Field. Now there is a C3 Korean Field. It's the same watch, but that one's a 36 millimeter watch. This one is 40 millimeter, much more suitable to kind of the watches I like to wear. Now a couple things drew me to the Vaer. Number one, it was a micro brand, and I like micro brands. I love supporting small business where I can. And all those types of things versus your big watch conglomerates. I like them too, but I do love sort of that micro brand movement and what's going on there. I was also drawn to Vaer. Really, I heard about it on YouTube. I don't know which YouTuber I heard about it from, but the price point for these is pretty affordable. But I wanted one that was assembled in the United States. That's kind of Vaer's big thing, is that they assemble a lot of their watches in the United States. You'll notice as we get further in my collection, that's actually almost half my watch, well, more than half my watches are assembled in the United States. And so that's something that I really believe in. I would love if more watchmaking came back to America and watch assembling. I know some will say, look, they didn't make the watch, they assembled it. That's semantics. I buy watches I like, you buy watches you like, and this is a watch definitely that I liked. I've wanted a field watch for a long time. Considered getting the Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical or automatic. That was a little more than I wanted to spend. And again, I love the idea of supporting a micro brand. And this one's interesting because, like I said, it's the Korean field watch. So most field watches, for those that don't know the history, most field watches are based off the World War II. Dirty Dozen is kind of what they were called. So as best as I can recollect, the British Army or British Armed Forces commissioned these companies to make them watches because, of course, right, when you're at war, you have stuff going on, operations, there's a lot going on. You know what time it is, and that watch had to be rugged and all that. So these watches have kind of gained this legendary status, but there was a Korean War field watch spec too down the road. And so this is based off of that. They actually have the reference on their website. I think this is a very faithful reissue, re-education, remake of that. I also do like this is a solar-powered movement. So I haven't talked about the movements too much in those Seikos just because they're a basic Seiko branded movement. But this particular watch is waterproof, assembled in the US, but the movement is a solar-powered movement. It's actually an Epson movement, which is quite interesting. Japan-made Epson VS22 movement. It has minus 10 to 20 seconds a month timing tolerance, and it's really, really cool. This one actually also came with another strap. I'll show that in a moment. But you can see here the watch is really cool. It's got this old radium loom, so if I put my hand over it, we can't really see it too much. But in the dark, this is probably my best loomed watch, so it's the most easily readable in the dark. You can see there's quite a bit of loom on the hands as well as the numbers. This is my most readable watch in the dark. I really like it. It goes with anything, and I've gotten compliments on some of the watches I've worn. But in the short amount of time I've owned this, only a month or two, well, maybe 3 months, a little, less than a year, I've gotten a lot of compliments on this one because when you pair it with something like this khaki strap, which also has Vaer on the buckle, which is nice, and then you have something like this, never forgotten Korean War on the back, right? This is a really faithful re-execution. Again, United States assembly. It's got a domed sapphire crystal on the front, 10 ATM water resistance, so you can take it anywhere and do anything with it. It's a field watch. I think it's really faithful to that execution. But then if you look at it on the wrist here, at least personally to me, I think that's a really sharp looking piece, and it fits really well on my wrist. For some, you might want the C3, the smaller version, but I really like this C5, and I believe this is actually a bit of a reissue of the C5. I think that they've updated it since. So this is a really, really cool watch. They advertise it as ocean ready, and obviously it's a quartz movement like the rest of these, so it's been pretty pretty accurate. My only peeve with the Vaer is that if the camera will focus, the second hand doesn't hit all the markers perfectly. I mean, it hits some of them really well. You can see it hit that marker really well, but some of them it's a little in between, and that's normal. I mean, if I pull out this Seiko that we just looked at, this one's not gonna hit all the markers either. It's just the name of the game. For some reason, it's just more noticeable to me on the Vaer. But I really like it, and the price is right. I mean, you can get a USA assembled watch with a pretty decent package and 2 straps. Here's the other one. It's actually the best silicone strap, in my opinion, I've ever used. So it comes with 2 different straps. It's assembled, like I said, I'm beating beating the dead horse here. Assembled in the USA, really cool. It's $300, but if you've never bought anything from Vaer, you can get it cheaper. This is not sponsored by them. I don't have an affiliate link, although I kind of wish I did. But you can get a coupon code. So I've got my receipt here. I paid $251.10 after my coupon code. And I think that's just it's just a good value. This is a good watch with a solar power movement. So it never has to need a battery change. And, we'll never end up in the situation like I just described with the watch my grandpa got me, where, hey, it doesn't work. I can't get the battery changed in time. Nope, none of that. It's a no fuss, no frills field watch with another band, $250. Pretty awesome. All right, moving on. And I've never seen this in any other watch collector's collection that I've seen. And I've only seen, I think, one YouTube video talking about this at all. And so this one, a bit of an interesting one. It's the Citizen CA0761-06W, which is really catchy, but it's actually the Rebel Pilot watch. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And this is where we start to get into some bigger watches. I actually prefer bigger watches, but this is a pretty big watch when you take into account both the size of the face, but also because it's a 44 millimeter case width, but also the lug width is 22, but the lug to lug's pretty long, right? If we take a look at the side profile of this watch, right, these lugs do stick out. So it is a bigger watch on the wrist. You can see, obviously, right, it takes up more space. But a few things drew me to this watch. Like I said, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and to own a legitimate Star Wars licensed watch that's not sort of a junk watch, a toy watch, but a legitimate watch. I mean, this is from Citizen. Yeah, it uses an eco drive, so similar to the Vaer. This is solar powered. It's never going to need any battery replacement. Specifically, this uses the B612 eco drive. It's a stainless steel case. They say it's impact and shatter resistant and water resistant to 100 meters or 10 bar. They say swimming, showering, and snorkeling, so that's interesting. And it's a quartz watch, but it also has a chronograph, which is, quite interesting. So I can start the chrono, and then what I can do from there, obviously, is stop the chrono. And unlike an automatic watch where it'll snap back, this hand, you can see, has to go all the way around, which doesn't bother me. I'll just use it to time a thing here and there. But it does have a sub-second hand. It's a little hard to see in this camera angle, and it's honestly not super easy to see in real life either, but it's going around this X-wing at the bottom. It does have 24-hour time down here where the little Rebel Pilot helmet is, and then this will tell, this helps keep track of the chronograph time in minutes. They say this band as well is inspired by the Rebel Pilot Orange. I don't know about that. I mean, it's a faux hole punch band. These holes don't go through to the other side, and I'm having a hard time fitting between actually this first hole in the band and the second hole. So second hole is a little loose, first hole is too tight. It actually messed up the skin underneath the watch for a little while, so that's not great. But it's a great watch, and it's a different watch. Again, it's big on the wrist. It has that eco drive movement. The lume is pretty good. It's a little disappointing, but it's good. It's a good watch. It originally retailed at $450. It's been out a couple of years now. It says on the site $360. I got this for, I think, $240. So from Citizen officially. So if you like it, maybe look out for a coupon code. I got one through my credit card, oddly enough, for Citizen. It does have the date window. Pretty hard to see the date in that window. You can see it next to the 15 there, that it's the 19th of June today. But I love this watch. On the back, it also says, "May the force be with you." You know, we got the Lucasfilm logo back there. Again, it's got that Eco Drive movement from Japan, this free spinning crown. It's a great watch, and especially for the price I paid to get a real high-quality Citizen with Eco Drive, and it's a licensed product. No-brainer for me. Really like this watch. All right. Well, now we're getting into a little bit of a different watch, and there's a bit of a story behind it. I guess there's not too much of a story. Essentially, I signed up for one of those shopping portals, think Rakuten, but I signed up for Capital One Shopping, and they had a sign-up bonus. Basically, if you buy something through a link, we'll give you like $100, I think it was, which was cool. But I didn't know that unlike Rakuten and these other shopping portals, and if you don't know what these are, feel free to not pay attention. But on that shopping portal, when you get like money back, you can't cash it out. You have to redeem it for a gift card. So I redeemed it for a gift card on eBay and used it towards this watch here. This is my first Shinola. We'll see a few more. And I know Shinola, they get some hate in the watch community because the movements that they put inside the watch, basically the thing that makes, the hours and the minutes hand go by and the second hand, or in this case, a sub-second hand go by, is not particularly expensive for the prices Shinola charges. I understand that. But I also, look, I grew up in the Detroit area. If you don't live in the Midwest, I think it's kind of hard to know kind of where I'm coming from here. But in the Midwest, we feel we're overlooked by the New York Cities, the LAs, these more happening places. And to make something of pretty high quality, especially like a luxury good in the Midwest, is kind of a weird concept, but I think something especially people in the Detroit area have really grabbed onto. And I really like Shinola. Again, I know that they have their criticisms, but I love that it's built in Detroit. It's employing local people. I was around during the Great Recession. It was not a great time to be in the Detroit area. And I love the idea. I love a lot of the execution. I understand that they're not the best value for money watches, but watch collecting doesn't make any sense. I think not enough people know that. You can be logical about your watch collecting, but quite frankly, a cheap quartz watch is going to keep time better than a really expensive, Rolex or AP or any kind of upper echelon Constantine brand. So that's the point, is just buy what you like. And this was something I bought with that eBay gift card. It cost me like $20. The Runwell, you can still buy this exact Runwell. It's the green and white version, which I went to Michigan State University, so I wanted this for game days and games I go to and stuff like that. It's 41 mil. I just got it yesterday. And then you can see it on the wrist here. Really good size. I've always loved the look of the Runwells. It's kind of Shinola's flagship piece, or their original piece that they ended up getting, or I guess releasing at the time that they started. But a Runwell, a new one's going to cost $700. You can get one on sale at the outlet all the time for like $500, maybe a little bit less sometimes based on coupon code or what's going on. This one I got on eBay new, never worn, never used, nothing. I just registered it yesterday. It's legit for $200 or $215 or something. So a great deal. I love the way that it looks on my wrist. I think the quality of Shinola's straps is usually pretty high too. I would say this is the lowest quality Shinola strap that I have, and it's still pretty decent. So I love it. I love the way it looks on the wrist. I like that, people are making stuff where I come from, even if you can have your kind of nitpicks with them. But I really like it. And I'm excited to wear this on game days in the fall, and also, I suppose, during basketball season and all the rest. Really, really like this. Argonaut 1069 movement, which if you're unfamiliar with the Shinola brand, almost all their movements, their quartz ones, I believe are Ronda movements that are rebranded. So if you look up the Ronda 1069, you'll find the exact specs of this movement. Shinola calls it the Argonite movement because they build the watches in the Argonite building, and they build them in America, so they're allowed to, call them something else. So Really like this watch, obviously the newest addition to the collection, and it actually takes the place in the watch box of my moon swatch. I had a moon swatch for those familiar, and I sold it, used a little bit of that to cover the difference for this watch, and I just didn't like it. You know, watches, as I've talked about in this video, sometimes you buy them because you like them, sometimes you buy them to commemorate milestones, sometimes you buy them, I don't know, because they're on a good deal, and really mostly you buy them because they make you feel something, whether that's a memory of a person like I talked about, or a time. And that Omega, Omega Swatch collaboration watch, I bought it thinking about, hey, I'm going to have this great year, and this year's been great in a lot of ways, but not in that specific way that I was thinking of when I bought the watch. So I was reminded of that every time I looked at it, and I sold it for a good price and got something I liked better, as you saw. We've got another Shinola Runwell in the collection. Again, new Shinolas are like, Runwell's like $6.95, I think it is. Used, cheaper, like I talked about, and then at the outlet, usually in the $400, $500 range. Sometimes you can get them in the high threes. This one was weird. It must have been a colorway that didn't sell well. I got an email. I have an outlet store for Shinola near my house. I've never paid retail for one, retail price. And this was $250 new, from the outlet. They all Shinolas have a lifetime warranty. They treat me really well in there. They've always backed up their product. They've replaced stuff, that I need replaced. So really like them. And this was a really cool watch to me for $250. I got this a long time ago now. I don't remember when. It's got this really cool blue dial. You can see it maybe a little bit better with the ring light shining off of it. And it's got this yellow marker for the sub-second hand, which adds a little bit of a color pop. And I really like this band that it came with. They call it bourbon leather, but I would equate it to like I don't know. It makes me think of canvas, even though it's really leather. So, just so you know yourself. And they don't sell this one anymore. Like I said, it must not have sold well at retail, like at full price, and then they brought it to the outlet and had this one-day flash sale. I actually saw it pop up a couple times after that for more money, like $400. So good deal, at least to me. I really like it. This is sort of before I got the Vaer, this was sort of a field watch stand-in for me. I'd wear it kind of everywhere all the time. Really great watch, really like it. Very versatile. It's just a bigger watch. Shinola makes a lot of big watches. So we can take a look at this one on the wrist. I think this is a 47 mil or 45 mil with that same Argonite 1069 movement that I just talked about. And it's pretty big, but I like bigger watches. And again, just another really cool piece in my collection. It doesn't make me, it doesn't have the emotional tie-in or the childhood tie-in of Star Wars or, any of that the other ones do. But I'm proud of myself that I bought it, which might sound weird, but I'll tell you the backstory with this next watch. The next watch is kind of the watch that started this whole thing, and this whole thing being watch collecting off. And this one's a Shinola Runwell, so the same as we were just looking at, but this one's a Runwell automatic. So this one, I'll just wind it. The time's not right, but I'll wind it here. But this is a pretty unique Shinola Runwell, even in the automatic sphere, and I'll tell you why. But first, I'll tell you how this started the whole watch collecting thing for me. So historically, I've been very fixated on money and saving money and not spending money. You'll notice, right, of all the watches I showed, 3 of them were a gift and 1 I got for $20 after a gift card. So I haven't exactly, broke the bank on a lot of these purchases. But even that was unfathomable for me not too long ago, to even buy something, like the Vaer, for example. And I was really proud of myself. I got a new job that I'm still there. I still really enjoy my job. And so that happened a few months previously. I had been in the store. I'd seen this a couple times, and it was, pretty dang expensive. A new one is, I think, around $1,000. And this was a little bit less because, again, the colorway I don't think was that popular at the outlet. And I was like, this is a frivolous purchase. And I really had to do some work serious work to say, look, it's okay to have some nice things. You know, I live, I hope, a more balanced life. But this was really me getting over the fact that, you know, I don't have to be miserly. I can live a full life. I can, you know, be a good person. I can do good things. And that doesn't mean I can't, you know, buy something nice for myself sometimes. And, you know, when it's financially feasible and makes sense. And so this was really a big watershed moment for me for just getting, I don't want to say getting over it because it's still with me. I still kind of shudder when I have to spend money. But I give myself the grace to say, look, you know, you've been working hard. You know, you have the money. You don't have to worry about it. You can buy the nice thing. And it's not always a watch. Sometimes it's like I bought an e-bike a couple of years ago and I love it. Can't imagine life without it. It's my favorite way to exercise, that and mountain biking. And I would never buy that for myself because, oh, it's frivolous. You can just use a cheap bike. But sometimes it's just nice to have some of those things, assuming, you know, you're all taken care of in other places. So hopefully that made sense. And this really, you know, again, was a watershed moment for me. Just because, like I said, it was a breakthrough. It was a breakthrough. And so this is a unique watch because you can still buy it at the Shinola outlet, but none of them are like this. Because if I flip it over, we have on the back here a full exhibition case back window. And I looked it up. I was actually very surprised. This is a watch you can get, I think, for $812 now. At $812 and 50 cents at the outlet. This was a little more than that. That version does not have the exhibition case back window. It just has a really small window where my finger is. So I have the cooler version, certainly. But these use Solita movements. This is an SW200, I think -1. So this is a really nice movement, actually, in this one. And it's obviously a full automatic. And it's got, you know, the little Shinola logo in the rotor. And like I said, my version is the full exhibition case back. And I love being able to look at, you know, the inner workings of this really complicated watch. Really neat. Really, really neat. I love it. This is, you know, probably my second favorite watch in my collection. And like I said, every time I look at it, I mean, it just pops. It goes good on the wrist. It's a great contrast piece with a lot of clothing. It's a wonderful watch. Still has the original band on it. But it just, you know, a personal triumph. This represented, you know, a lot of things. A new job, you know, believing in myself. And I really, really appreciate, you know, my own ability to be able to do that. Sorry about the camera there. So that leads me to my last and final watch before a little bit of a surprise watch at the end. So my last and final watch in my collection is the Shinola Canfield Lap 07. And this is a super expensive watch, and I would never buy it for myself, even with the breakthrough I talked about. But this represents, you know, my wedding to my wonderful, wonderful wife. We each had a little budget to get something nice for our wedding for each other, and she blew the budget out of the water. But she said, "Look, I've been working hard at my job, similar to my breakthrough. I've been working hard at my job, and you know, this is important. You'll have it forever." And I just want this to, you know, kind of be a representation of, you know, the hard work I put in, but also just how much, you know, I love, you know, our marriage and what we're going into. And this is just an exceptional, exceptional piece. So this is the Shinola Detroit, you know, of course, automatic. It's a Solita SW500 in this one. So even a better caliber than the SW200. It's a limited run. So only 500 of these were made. And it came in actually a really cool box. Maybe I'll do another video on that. But it's exceptional. The band is the best, and I like bands more than bracelets. The band's the best best band I've ever had. It's got the full chronograph function. I mean, it just looks super sharp. It came in this really cool packaging. It's obviously very limited. I think I have number 143 out of 500. It's awesome. I love it. I think about my wife when I wear it and all the good times we share, and you know, the generosity from her to me. And it's just it's really, really, really a unique, special piece. I don't have much more to say about it. The movement's awesome. I mean, it's the nicest watch in my collection, but it's also my favorite watch in my collection because of who got it for me, what they mean to me, and what this meant to them to give it to me. The final watch the bit of a surprise watch, and I say that because this technically isn't a watch in my collection. My dad gave it to me for because I'm trying to get it fixed. This is a really, really cool, unique piece. And it's over 100 years old. This is a pocket watch made by Elgin in about 1923. That's as much as I could find out about this watch. And I'm not sure if you can hear it on the mic, but it ticks super, super loud. It's one of the only family heirlooms we have, and this is my great-grandfather's. And so this watch has changed my life in a couple different ways. Obviously, it's helped me appreciate the value of time a little bit, but also I've done a lot of family genealogy research because I never met this great-grandfather. I didn't know much about him, and quite honestly, my dad didn't know much about him either. But we've got his old pocket watch from about 1923, so it's 102 years old. And, you know, what is it? What's the deal? Who was this guy? And also, you know, what was this watch? This one's really cool. I'll unscrew the back really quick. It's just very interesting to me that before computers, before CAD software, before, you know, complex, the complex problems we have today and complex problems we solve, we produced things just like this, you know, these really small grooves in the dial, the balance wheel, all these different types of things, you know, way back in the day with, you know, pretty rudimentary technology by today's standards. And yet we were still able to, you know, make really cool stuff like this. It boggles my mind. It really does. So this is a really unique, special piece. I love it just because, again, it's kind of one of our only family heirlooms, and trying to make sure it runs well. It actually does run. It's pretty cool. It was only serviced, as best I can tell, because there is a signature, watchmaker signature in here. Yeah, right over there. Best I can tell, this was only serviced one time in its entire 102-year lifespan. And so it runs pretty good still. It does run a couple minutes fast here and there. I got to screw this down a little bit better. It does run a couple minutes fast here and there, so I might have to get it serviced. But it's just crazy that something 102 years old is running as well as it is all these years later. Pretty cool. So this is Eddie. This has been my watch collection. Man, what a long video. If you've been with me this long, leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one.